Hi, I'm Tim, welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today we're discussing a watch that I can call without reservation my favorite Breguet model, past or present. Now, of course, this is a watch from the modern Type 20 catalog. No longer the Type 20, this is the Type 22. You can see it and you can own it on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this 10 Hertz, 20 beat per second, 30-second chronograph with silicon escapement, silicon hairspring, and a phenomenal 72,000 vibration per hour rate. Tech savvy, perfectly fit, big, bold, and beautifully made. You can own this watch on our website and see our listing for it with additional accessories included, high-resolution images for your desktop that don't include my wrist, and of course complete pricing details for this and our entire collection of Breguet timepieces. Let's talk about what you get for your money though, and you do get a lot, not just in size, but in tech stature. In 2010 at Bezel World, we saw the prototype of this watch. In 2013 at Bezel World, we saw the production version. What took 3 years? Well, the might of the Swatch Group in engineering, design, watchmaking, and basic research was thrown at taking this 20 beat per second, 10 hertz, high rate chronograph and silicon escapement technology from the point of the laboratory to the point of everyday durability and usability. And it took that long for Swatch Group to achieve that. So what you get here is an extraordinary timepiece that from any other brand would cost an unaffordable fortune. I would imagine this would be a six-figure watch if it said Richard Mille on the dial, but Richard Mille does not have a 10 hertz 20 beat per second chronograph. So the watch is big. Let's talk about fit, because fit comes first, although function is a very close second with this watch. On my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, you can see the watch is bigger than Breguet claims. They claim 44. I like to measure across a symmetrical surface, so anything that is round and diagonally congruent. So this watch for me, measured from the point of the bezel, which is outboard of the case band, is actually 45.5 millimeters across the wrist from 9 to 3, not including crown or pushers. The watch is thinner, however, than Breguet claims, as they claim just over 18. I measured just under 17 at 17.8. From lug to lug, it's almost exactly the same size as a 44 millimeter Panerai Luminor. So if you imagine a 44 millimeter Betterini case Panerai Luminor, from lug to lug, this is about that. However, the watch on the bracelet, I've previously reviewed it on the strap, swells a little bit farther because of the massive end links of the bracelet, which extend the watch to a meaty 58.8 millimeters across the wrist. But let me zoom out here so you get a sense of its true proportion on my arm. It actually fits fine. I would own this watch and wear it on the bracelet. It's secure. I don't feel like I'm wearing a bank vault on my forearm. I feel that even if your wrist were a bit smaller, maybe 15 centimeters, you could still wear this watch with a reasonably handsome proportion and security, as long as you're cool with the oversized watch aesthetic. And in that vein, if you're considering something like an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore 44 or any Hublot, you really owe it to yourself to give this watch a look. It has technology that neither of those can boast at a price that, quite frankly, is extremely competitive. Now, I'll also say that the watch features a bracelet that deserves a shout out. One feature I don't love, and I'll get this out of the way, is the fact that there's no clamshell or trigger release. It is a friction fit bracelet, an aviator style chronograph. It's perhaps not designed for the high-impact rough and tumble of something like the old Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor Extremes, but when even the likes of the Royal Oak Jumbo, essentially a dress watch in stainless steel, has a trigger release system, so too should this. Gripes out of the way, it's beautifully made. You can see how the links taper. There's a contrast between satin and polish. All of the adjustable links, the removable links, and there are many of them, are fixed in place with screws. The Patek Philippe Nautilus is still using pins and sleeves. This Patek is how it needs to be done at this price point. You'll also note on the underside broad channels between the links, so the wrist can aerate on a hot day, but it also has those channels to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. It's a very comfortable bracelet on the wrist. The case is nicely made. If you want to put it on a strap, it will wear a little bit more compact and better on a smaller wrist, but you'll note how perfectly integrated the end links are to the form of the lugs, and the case is all of high polish. Make no mistake, it's still a Breguet. It's a luxury timepiece and it wants the world to know it. Coined case flanks actually match the knurling of the bezel quite nicely. But I appreciate that the bezel, as a functional part of the watch, features a circular satin diagonal, or I should say, directional grain, so that it mutes the glare that would otherwise be produced by polish. Now, it's a bidirectional bezel, so aviator's style. You don't want to use it for diving, even though the watch is 100 meters water resistant, but line the index up with the minute hand, and now you can time 2 concurrent events up to 60 minutes, as you have the chronograph, which also features a 12-hour register, and then the 0 to 60-minute calibration of the bezel. Much going on this dial. It's a classic sporting tritone, dominant black, white calibrations, and a few shocks of red, quite a few actually. One of the features I want to call out before we jump into the layout is the chronograph seconds hand, which is jumping 20 times per second, so it appears almost as smooth as a Grand Seiko or Seiko spring drive. You'll also note the calibration of the seconds track. Each one of those hashes represents half a second, so 2 hashes is 1 second. By expanding the arc of the second to a greater piece of real estate around the circumference of the dial through this large sloped ray haut, it's easier to read fractions of a second when the second covers a larger physical space. So that's the logic behind the calibration and the speed of the hand. Now, you'll also note a classic tri-register design, nicely balanced, even if there is an awful lot going on here. The chronograph functionality includes flyback, so you can reset and restart with a single press of the pusher at 4 o'clock. Excellent for timing 2 intervals that occur in rapid succession. There is a date window at 6 o'clock to anchor the dial, and you'll note that the watch features a useful travel time complication. So pull the crown out, and now I can move the hour hand in 1 hour steps forward or backwards, even crossing the international date line forward or backwards without stopping the watch and without affecting its chronometric precision. So the travel time functionality is useful, but so is the hacking seconds function. So you can stop all action of the balance and even the seconds hand to synchronize down to an interval as short as 1 second against a reference time. Plenty of lume on the dial. It's not a Panerai Luminor, but it is robustly legible at night. Now, of course, the watch features a great deal of additional functionality, right down to the radial minutes indicator. Radial minutes giving you the ability to more easily read the minutes register of the chronograph, while I tend to find, for example, that it's easier to read radial minutes than a small subdial featuring 60 minutes. I can actually distinguish them and fractions of them using the radial indicator. There's a 24-hour indicator at 3 o'clock. It looks like part of the chronograph, but it actually is not, because the radial minutes, that functions as an AM/PM indicator for the time at center. Okay, roll it over onto the flank, and you can see that the pump pushers are a little bit vintage in their profile. They're mushroom-style pump pushers, which is to say inspired by the mid-century Type 20s produced by Breguet for French military aviation, but there's also a little bit of a conical profile to the crown. Now, it is a screw-down crown, a 100-meter water-resistant watch. It's not a diver, but it is sufficient for just about any aquatic activities in which you may engage. It is awfully difficult to read the full roster of features associated with this watch, but I'm going to try. You can see that tiny balance operating so fast its spokes become invisible. Let me tell you what you get inside this watch. It uses the caliber 589F, which is 72,000 vibrations per hour, automatic winding with a 40-hour power reserve. It features 28 joules, 363 parts. It operates at 10 Hertz or 20 beats per second. It features the 30-second scrolling chronograph seconds. So 2 circuits of the dial in 1 minute. It features radial minutes. It features the travel time, jumping hour hand that can be set independently. It features the AM/PM indicator. Of course, it's the flyback. More going on there. It features stop seconds hacking to synchronize, a silicon hairspring so it's robustly anti-magnetic, and it also features a silicon escapement, including the anchor and the escape wheel, which looks almost like a iridescent blue spider's web. Absolutely phenomenal to look at. Despite the small viewing port on the back, there's actually something down there worthy of looping. It actually rewards close viewing, and you can see that the form of the rotor actually emulates the lattice-like profile of the spokes of the escape wheel. Is there more? Oh yeah, it's a free-sprung balance, so it's robustly resistant to shock-induced timing deviation and takes and holds a very precise regulation. This one is running better than chronometer time, and that's how well it works in practice. A watch that's loaded with functionality and everyday versatile if you've got the wrist for it or the inclination to wear an oversized and bold modern sporting reference. Again, this is something that should be considered not a rival to Hublot, but technologically a rival to the likes of Richard Mille, and on that basis it does justice to its Type 20 heritage. As the Type 22, it's the vanguard of a new generation of Breguet sports watches. See it and own it on our website.